Okay guys, so here we are. This is the KI 200 and this is the review for it, and it's been a long time here since I've really even gone back to this plane, but the Indian summer and going for the A6M5 Co has been what's got me back to it. And first things first, it is a subpar ME-163 to explain it best. It has no landing flaps, it has no air brakes, it has no combat flaps. It does turn fairly quickly, it does climb fairly well, but as most everyone knows, it only has 4 minutes of fuel. It actually starts with 4 minutes and 10 seconds of fuel. That being the case, this thing has a real big issue of actually engaging and getting to the enemy and then getting back to base. So you get about maybe 1 or 2 engagements at best, and you get 2 if you actually kill the person on your first pass. Otherwise, you're going to be at about 2 minutes of fuel before you even know it. So, without further ado, here will be the 4 minutes of my first time back out in this thing in a while, and then I'll bring in a few other examples of where this does well and where it doesn't do well. I'm really unable to climb with this plane too much. I do get to about 5,000 at best. I try to avoid getting up too high because oftentimes that'll waste too much fuel, and then once you start gliding, once you're at 5K, you'll end up with a Bearcat above you, and then it doesn't really work too well anyhow. So the best thing I've noticed is to just rush in and get them before they get up to altitude. Also, as far as what rounds work best, for some reason the KI 200 has a plethora of practice shells in pretty much everything that you use, so just avoid using anything that will get you stuck with practice shells, and I think tracers are the only ones that actually keep the practice shells out of your lineup, so to speak. Got a quick kill there, so I mean that's pretty solid, but I'm really running low on time, and that is not good. As you can see, these shells do very little. Try to get... This is a dumb thing I do here. End up getting knocked out, pilot killed, but the rounds really don't do that much, the 30s. So avoid doing that. Moving on to a later round that I had this in. Always working in a squad is beneficial, even if they are KI 200s, so then you can at least alternate when you take off and someone will always have more fuel. But one thing to watch out for is, like I said, the F8Fs will be above you at some point, and this is when I did climb. It's really hard to keep yourself safe up here, because I don't have enough fuel where I can go 100% and keep my plane at a high IAS, but I can't really just, you know, abandon it, so you're stuck. You're stuck in a really bad spot at times. And honestly, the biggest thing that you're going to look forward to is just trying to go 1-to-1. And if you can keep it consistent 1-to-1, you'll be fine. If you can get 2-to-1, you're doing great. As far as one issue that has definitely plagued this plane from the beginning, this and the 163, is landing. Now with no flaps, this thing seems to land relatively decent. Compared to the 163, I actually have a higher percentage of landing this without breaking the wings than the 163. So I don't know whether that's not using flaps. I've tried it both ways, and It really doesn't seem to do much difference on the 163, but on this, you basically come in, if you do have any extra ammo, try to come in at around 190 kph. Use what you got to slow yourself down when need be. And make sure to take the instructor off so you can at least adjust your plane. And you want to get down. And if you can hit it where you're only at about 20 kph when you hit the ground, you have a really good chance of keeping your wings together. Any faster than that, you're going to have issues. But then again, I'm not doing this 100% of the time. I'm maybe getting this 50-60% of the time. The other times have been a combination of me doing a perfect landing, going a little bit fast, coming in a little bit hot, using my guns to slow it down. Doing a perfect slow down, getting it down to about, I think I got this one down to about 25 kph before I hit. No wings broke, but I did crash. I don't see how that was a crash. My skid's down, everything. So there's still a few glitches in that regard. And in another regard, we have the situation where I just fuck up and I'll have to drop a wing just to slow down in time, and I blow the shit out of my plane. So there's a few things that not only I can improve on, but also the game can improve on as far as mechanics go. But overall, this KI-200 never was the greatest plane in the world. To really compare it, I look at the other planes around the tier, and then I kind of give a rating on that. And I put the Meteor F3 higher than this plane, and most of you should know how I feel about that. I'd rather fly either of the Bearcats. I'd rather fly the Yak 15s. I'd rather fly the Yak 17. I'd rather fly an LA B-20, LA-7 B-20. I'd pretty much rather fly any other plane than this one in almost any circumstance. The N1K I would rather fly than this plane. There's just so little upside to this plane. I'm going to give it my lowest rating out of all the planes. This is honestly a 1. This gets the lowest rating possible because it is the lowest rated level 17 plane out there. It's lower than pretty much all the 16s. It's lower than pretty much all the 15s. There really is very little benefit to flying this plane other than to have a prestige and to be just that guy who's flying the KI-200. Sure, you can get a kill, you can go 1-to-1, but likely, even if you go 1-to-1, you're going to go back, you're going to land, and even on the best case scenario, you can say, alright, I went back, I landed, and this time I was successful. I landed without breaking my wing, I repaired, I got back up in the air, and I finally got back over to battle. It's likely that you will run out of fuel returning to base and get shot down on your return to base. It's likely that you're going to crash land while landing. And it's also quite likely that, being that you're going against F-8Fs and things like that, that you're not even going to be able to get up into the air high enough to give yourself a shot, and they're going to shoot you down before you even get to them. There's just too many things wrong with this plane to really enjoy it. But like I said, if you do want to have a prestige plane, this is the one. And that's why it's rated 1.